We are the Wild Hog Control Team in Oklahoma, working alongside Twin Eagle Ranch to stop a crisis that has been spreading day by day. More than 1,000 hectares of farmland have been torn apart after only a few nights. Young corn rows that had just started to sprout vanished from the ground, irrigation systems were destroyed, and thick mud stretched across the fields as if bulldozers had ripped through the land. For the farmers here, this is no longer just ordinary damage. If the hogs continue breeding and moving freely, entire harvests could completely collapse. But the most dangerous part is that wild hogs do not move randomly. They follow fixed routes, avoid light, stay away from populated areas, and only appear when everything falls silent. That is why this battle cannot be solved with a few gunshots or randomly placed traps. We have to rely on strategy, patience, and timing precise down to the second. That night, the Hawkeye camera system placed along the forest edge suddenly sent out a signal. 3 massive circular traps had already been set up days earlier. Inside them was a bait mixture of sweet corn, sand, and fermented cheese with a smell strong enough to pull entire sounders out from deep in the woods. The clock on the monitor read 1:57 a.m. On the screen, dark silhouettes slowly began appearing through the infrared glow. They moved carefully, sniffing the ground before stepping one by one into the trap zone without noticing anything unusual. I kept my hand on the remote trigger but did not act yet. If the trap closed too early, the entire sounder would scatter and never return to the same spot again. We waited through several agonizing seconds until the very last hog stepped fully inside. At that exact moment, I hit the button. The steel gate slammed shut with a thunderous crash in the middle of the night. In an instant, the silence completely shattered. Hogs weighing hundreds of pounds charged wildly into the steel frame, creating dry metallic impacts that echoed through the forest. The entire trap shook violently as the sounder desperately searched for a way out. It took several chaotic minutes before they finally grew exhausted and realized they were fully trapped. We immediately drove the Jeep Gladiator down the muddy dirt roads to check the site. When the headlights swept across the trap, the scene became shockingly clear. The entire sounder, including several massive boars weighing over 200 pounds, had been contained inside. But the situation was not over yet. After the forest edge had been disturbed, the remaining sounders quickly moved down toward the low ground near the livestock water tanks. We set up 2 additional octagonal traps directly along the paths they frequently used. Only a few hours later, the cameras started vibrating again from movement alerts. Another large sounder appeared in the darkness, more cautious than before, constantly checking every steel panel as if sensing the danger waiting ahead. I held my breath while watching the monitor. Not too early. Not too late. The moment the entire sounder moved deep enough inside, the trap slammed shut instantly. Steel rattled violently as the massive bodies crashed into one another in the darkness. Less than 2 hours later, the final trap also signaled a successful capture. In just one night, multiple large wild hog sounders had been completely controlled. The next morning, the muddy ground left behind by the sudden rainstorm actually became an advantage. Trailers and trucks were brought in to transport the heavy animals out of the area. Some were taken to professional processing facilities, while the rest were distributed to local families. When everything was finally over, the fields at last became quiet again. That was when we realized this battle had never been only about setting traps. It was a battle of strategy between humans and an animal that had learned to survive with incredible intelligence. One wrong move could destroy every effort we made. But when everything was calculated perfectly, we did not just capture wild hogs. We reclaimed the harvest for the farmers.
At first, no one thought the small signs would lead to a silent crisis. Just a few disturbances on the ground, a few animals disappearing in the night. Everything was easy to overlook. But then, like an undercurrent slowly rising, the attacks began to appear more frequently. Pens were broken, overlapping tracks formed invisible paths, and after only a few nights, the damage was enough to shake any farm. As the pressure grew, familiar measures were quickly put in place. Fences were raised higher, nets were tightened, lights and alarm systems were installed everywhere. In the early days, everything seemed effective, but that sense of stability did not last long. The intruders adapted faster than expected, changing their approach, even using the very defenses to find new ways in. The confrontation gradually shifted from reaction to strategy. When passive solutions were no longer enough to maintain balance, a more proactive approach had to emerge. Direct control through traps, a method that always comes with controversy. For some, it is the final line of defense to protect their livelihood. For others, it is a boundary that must be carefully considered from an ethical perspective. But reality does not wait for perfect agreement. As the damage continues to rise, action becomes the only option. The first position is usually along a movement corridor, where tracks repeat almost every night. It could be the edge of a forest bordering farmland, or a small dirt path leading to a water source. Here, the trap is not placed randomly, but hidden exactly at the point the wolf is forced to step through. A seemingly unconscious step, yet it is the intersection of an entire chain of prior observations. Positions like these determine most of the plan's success. The second position is completely different, located near areas where prey has been attacked before. Not at the center, but at the outer edge, where the wolf often pauses to observe before approaching. This is a sensitive zone, requiring a high level of precision. The trap is set low, concealed, and nearly blends into the ground, while the scent is just enough to maintain curiosity without signaling danger. If the first position relies on movement habits, the second exploits hunting instincts, an even harder weakness to control. Safety is not just a principle, but a requirement. Operators approach from downwind, use gloves, and minimize any trace left behind. After the trap is triggered, inspections are carried out strictly according to protocol. This is not a single action, but a chain of disciplined steps, where any mistake can lead to unpredictable consequences. Over time, these efforts begin to show clear results. Attacks gradually decrease, the pace of disruption slows, and areas once repeatedly invaded begin to stabilize. More importantly, control is no longer the responsibility of a few individuals, but becomes a coordinated system, where information is shared, experience is accumulated, and strategies are continuously refined. In many major cities around the world, such models have been implemented for years. Instead of waiting for problems to arise, long-term plans are built on surveys, monitoring, and community education. After all, wildlife is not the enemy. They are simply adapting to the changes created by humans. And within that adaptation, a larger question emerges. As the boundary between nature and human life continues to blur, what path will we choose to coexist? A fast but rigid solution, or a sustainable approach that requires time and deeper understanding? Perhaps the answer does not lie in the trap itself, but in how we perceive our role within the ecosystem. Because in the end, this space does not belong to humans alone. It is where two worlds are learning to exist side by side.